My name is Mollie. I am now 27 years old. I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of blood cancer, when I was 24. I've now been in remission for almost 3 years. I've got a good prognosis, but I've got a hell of a long way to go. Yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing for me. And throughout treatment, it was my biggest fear as well, was having the fear of it always coming back. It affects my everyday life, to be honest with you. Every little niggle I get, any little pain I get, immediately my brain goes to cancer. It is completely debilitating, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. I'd say every single day. I do have episodes, I'd say, where it gets worse. Usually when I have milestones or good things happening in my life. Whenever I've been, I don't know, birthdays, opening my own business, moving into my boyfriend's house, that's when it creeps in. I don't know why, but I think it's just like I'm starting to feel safe and I'm like, oh, no, shouldn't do. I'd probably say it's like having a stalker. So imagine you're just walking down a dark alley and there's always someone behind you just following you. That's what it kind of feels like. And even though you're happy and you seem okay on the outside, there's just thing behind you constantly and you're checking over your shoulder. Yes, they impact every single aspect of my life. They increase my generalized anxiety, and my nervous system is on a constant state of fight or flight. Yeah, every single day I feel a lot of anxiety. Yeah, it's everything. Like, that's the hardest bit for me. Whenever I think of making a plan, it's the back of my mind is like, is it even worth making this plan? Because you could just get cancer again and die. That's ultimately what it is. There's always this little, I'm fighting like reason and logic. So I've opened my own business, a language academy, and it's going so well. But there's a part of me like, just be careful, don't get too happy. My family and friends are obviously worried that I could relapse. And I recently met a partner. So after the cancer, I met my new boyfriend, who is amazing now, literally perfect relationship. But obviously, with the relationship I brought in some baggage from my cancer, obviously, and my worries are 24/7. But my partner plays a massive part, and I do feel guilty for him sometimes having to deal with that. Whenever I get any little niggle, or I'm doing something that I enjoy, and I went automatically into panic mode, into overdrive, and then my heart starts racing, my thoughts start racing, and I make myself worse, even though I'm actually okay. Whenever I feel a tiny little bit ill or anything, I don't know, bit of a headache coming on, automatically I start spiraling into what is that, and then I make myself way worse when actually I was fine. Obviously, regular checkups, waiting for any blood results, which is a lot of the time, the waiting period. These bloods, which is usually 5 days, which is horrific. And when I hear anyone else who's been diagnosed, that triggers me massively. And I just, yes, that's spiraling again. I'd say it's got a little bit better, but also in a different way, it's kind of manifested because now I'm starting to feel more safe and more normal. It's like you shouldn't be happy, you shouldn't feel safe. But now it's down to me, my symptoms. That's really hard for me because it's all about me working out what's normal, what's not normal, what's in my head effectively. So probably actually I changed my mind. It's harder now. So no, I was not prepared at all. I always said when I was going through my chemo, my biggest fear is coming out of this and living with the fear. I didn't know how I was going to go back to normal life. It was like they'd cured you of your cancer, cured you. and then you were just chucked back into society. And there's no guidance. There's no guidance at all, really. It's so exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. I can't tell you how tired I am of it. Maybe speaking to some people who's gone into remission about their timeline of their psychology. I've got a group of girls that I'm friends with that I met on the ward, and we kind of say, oh, I've got bruises all over my legs. Does anyone else have this? And they go, yes, so normal. I have it all the time. That for me is all I need, justification like that it's normal. So I wish I'd just known to connect with more people at the start, I think, probably. My CNS is lovely. Absolutely can't fault her. There's not much we can do other than there is psychological help, but there can be waiting lists for this. I think there should be more that is in place. I think it's probably the biggest thing, especially for young people, the biggest struggle they have, and there isn't anything in place really to cope with it or to help you cope with it or to tell you that it's normal. I do think there's a gap in the system. One thing actually quite weird, I've invested in a vagus nerve simulator, which I've been trying because I've been keep seeing adverts for that about nervous system regulation. I found myself rushing through life, really rushing through life, like I'm almost going to run out of time. I'm just constantly on edge, fight or flight, running 1,000 miles an hour. I started doing like Pilates, I started doing Zumba like exercise, which has massively helped. I think just taking your mind off it, being busy. My language academy keeps me very busy. So it's like a double-edged sword, really.
Yeah, I spoke to some people about this actually on the video call, and most people said they didn't look at any of it, but I personally found that so useful and I couldn't help but look at it. So I've done so much research into all the treatments that are available if, the first line didn't work. So I know them all like off by heart now and exactly what they would entail and stuff, and that helped me so much because it makes you realize how much there is actually out there. If the first one doesn't work, there are so many treatments now. There's so much research going on. So for me, it was almost like a life plan.
I think that's the biggest thing for me. I talk to everybody. I talk to my boyfriend, my friend. They all know my feelings 24/7. I think, like I said before, unless you've been through it, you don't really get it. That's why I think the support group and speak would be a good idea. And speaking to people who get it and have been thought. My boyfriend, yeah, I tell him everything because I just can't not. The fear is, yeah, for both of us. Oh, 1,000%. It's massively underestimated, and I think it could be really dangerous for some people that don't have a support system. It could be really, really dangerous because you can spiral by yourself in your thoughts. And the worst thing is that, it is valid to be worried. You need to watch out for symptoms. That's the biggest thing for me. It's not like this illogical worry. It's you need to be careful because it's happened before and you need to make sure you're not missing anything. So I think it's a really, really, really big thing that is being missed, and especially young people need more support with it. It's affected my whole entire life and like every single day. Biggest one I would say is speak to people who have been through it. There are quite a lot of different charities out there that really helped me, and we just kind of spoke about life now, living with the fear, symptoms we get, and everything. And it was all the same for each of us. Like, so it made us feel so normal. Try therapy, speaking to your CNS, speaking to your main point of contact, and just explaining your fears. Don't bottle up your worries. Let someone know on your clinical team that you are having these, you're struggling, basically.